Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, where last episode things quickly spiraled out of control with the scales tilting fully to a verdict of guilty due to the path Mr. Natsume was accused to have taken on the day of the murder, prompting us to call for a summation examination. Bruce Fairplay biased against us due to the previous trial. We pressed our way to answers as we found statements between jurors to reveal a road closure that could have prevented Suzuki from walking down Bria Road, as well as one of the jurors having fell there that day in a green overcoat, possibly accounting for what our defendant saw. Tipping the scales back to let the trial continue, with Baroque ready to shut down our momentum in just one sentence, with the books of the crime scene an obvious issue as we continue our trial. And old man... Cold man, you can talk. You said at around 5 o'clock on the day in question you slipped and fell on Calabash Road. Pray, was there suspicious-looking Nipponese behind you at the time? Oh, I can't say as I remember. You don't remember? There's a lot of that going around. How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man that the accused saw, but I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it. Well, that's 2 sentences now. Order! Order! Lord Van Zieks, explain yourself. My lord, if you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not proffer it during the summation examination? I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I want him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. But my hospitality has its limits, and they have been reached, I feel. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. What? What are you talking about? My lord. The prosecution requests permission to call its next witnesses to the stand. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witnesses. This is exactly what I wanted, so I'm happy. It's next witnesses.
Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that there were eyewitnesses to the incident.
Yes, I remember. One of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less.
I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness.
All right, no matter who Van Zieks brings to the stand as his witnesses, and no matter what they say, I believe in Suzuki-san. I know he's innocent. And I'll keep believing to the very end, until this battle is over. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. And also, please explain to me why you're not the random 2 people we saw outside. Who were they then? I really thought that might be them. Are you a couple? Or siblings? Siblings. Constable Roly Patricia, sir! Another report on the street, sir! And he's out. Narcoleptic?
And I'm Mrs. Beate. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say I'm this young town hero's wife.
Okay, not siblings, just because they got blonde hair and the exact same eyes. I said siblings because of the eyes.
Or maybe they're just so in love.
Wow, I'd be making horrible, defense attorney. It's like, yes, your siblings. No. Oh. I'm very observant, me. I try too hard. I guess that's the point. Sometimes you try too hard. What's the story here?
Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day.
1 year's long for some people. No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honourable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world. Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually. Indeed. Apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check that meters are reading true. And they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our street lights.
There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all.
I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet, I'd have collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London Bobby is a man of honor. And a man of slumber. On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Brielle Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beate?
That's right, sir. Isn't it, Roly?
Constable Roly Beate, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir. What a great witness he's going to be. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident. Yes, sir! And he's gone. Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. Come on, Beats, tell me. Tell me.
It was our wedding anniversary, and Roly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Roly and I both saw him as clear as day. I mean, can't be as clear as day because it was foggy, but still.
Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say.
Oh dear. This policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed.
It's definite, in fact, because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate bit, Hansing, and on your wedding anniversary too.
Oh, I know. But I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed.
Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was without doubt the accused, Mr. Ryunosuke Natsume. And one of these witnesses is a policeman, no less. To appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure. Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all of the talking. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. I mean, I'm scared of cross-examining because I never know if I might press something now and then just flames fly everywhere. I'm your helmet, by the way.
It was our wedding anniversary and Roly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work,
so he stayed in his Bobby uniform. No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. Beate?
Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, the elderly can't even apply.
Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you?
I think Roly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down the ground, doesn't it, darling?
What? I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy.
Oh no, Roly, I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy.
Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct? That's right, sir, yes. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest. After spending the whole day on my feet. A police in my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end.
What's that now?
My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it. As a reminder to all of us policemen of our sworn duty. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, And for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know that the plot of my boots is all Londoners need here to feel safe and secure. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. But sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beate puts up a lot with being married to a Bobby Lummy. I want to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat.
Oh, Roly.
Oh, they're in love.
Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold.
If a little over the top, perhaps. And then, can you describe what happened next?
Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us.
Hold it! Two silhouettes.
That's right. They were coming towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure, followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume.
Yes, unfortunately it does. And you're certain that at that time there was nobody else nearby?
Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling?
What? Yes, that's right. Of course, there was a light fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street line as well. I didn't see any other pedestrian. Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer please, Mr. Beate. Are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir. As a couple who spends all day every day keeping watch on the streets, I swear to it, sir. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat.
Oh, Roly.
They're still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened. It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run. Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moment that followed?
All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off.
It feels like I'm just information gathering at the moment. Nothing's presentable to.
Hold it!
Scattered something. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling?
It's like he's a wind-up toy or something. Pull the cord, that's the one. What? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was some old books. I see. Old books. Yes, sir. The culprit had dropped a number of them around where the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print.
A rotten Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it! Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him. It was the man in the dock without question, sir. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Everything. Any more insults you want to throw in?
That's right. He looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes. And then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away.
I see. This is tough. It seems as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please, continue. Yes, sir!
He ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box.
Hold it! Was it your husband who went to fetch help?
No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of one after all.
Isn't that right, my darling? Stop winding him up. What? Yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. Beate to go. I was off duty by that point. But the Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene. Very laudable, Mr. Beate. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance. That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box? Depends on the crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat the incident fell under so she could go and report it.
I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There is nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know.
And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two model citizens.
Oh, please, you're making us blush. Isn't he, darling?
Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir. Let's move on, shall we? We're already at the last statement.
It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Roly and I both saw him as clear as day. Is this one where we can debate fog?
Hold it!
But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you?
Oh yeah, fog and dark.
We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know.
Right.
The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he?
Yes, and what of the fog? We're famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course.
Oh, it is. When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm.
Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about?
The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling?
Everyone feeling sorry for him? What? Yes, it was the accused and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Unmistakable, sir! As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Saseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony.
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beate saw what they say they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Bria Road that day.
Yes, I feel the same.
So if that's true, where does it leave us?
The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony.
Oh no, then what do we do?
If Kazuma-sama were here...
What are you trying to say?
I think you would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony.
What do you mean, somewhere else?
Their statement about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them to make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate.
Oh, right.
But simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavorable conclusion.
Why do I always seem to be so up against it?
Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... It seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it? Well, out with it!
What? No. Oh no, it's really not that at all.
My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail. Everything. Like... Oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped? I could tell you the names of every single one I could. Every single one.
Oh, please do. We've got a receipt.
And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is?
Oh, this is a gimme and a half. That will do, Mrs. Beate.
No, it won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a minute that Roly will. I really didn't mean to cause offense. Just please, put your husband's fist down.
But perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Mrs. Beate. Might that appease you?
Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling?
I don't know if he's actually alive most of the time.
I could even tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped to the scene.
Well, okay, you don't even need to tell me about 4 books. I just need to know that there were 3 books. There were 4 lights.
So why presenting to this? I mean, the receipt says 3. But equally, you've got the crime scene itself, which only... Don't tell me she's on one, or like is obscuring one. Oh no, that's so gonna happen. Right, I think it's this, on the basis of there was a 4th book. But maybe that would match with the receipt properly to mix things about a little bit. Maybe that would be in our benefit.
Objection!
So, you're saying that there were 4 books? That's right, I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur Somebody, What's It Yearnings, A Meal for Someone, and The Thing in Me Something. I'm sorry, Mrs. Beate, but there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours. Oh no! What flaw? Simply that, at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4. What? Have a good look at this photographic print at the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see, there are only 3 books. But no, that can't be. I saw them. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, you can't fool me. Sorry? It's that big old lump of a dead body. A lady so large your corpse is blocking the view of the 4th book, that's all. Let's at least try to remember that the poor woman isn't dead, even if we're insulting her size. No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Beate. But Miss Natsume could not possibly have dropped the 4 books you describe. Why not?
Fascinating. And from your assured tones, something you can readily substantiate with evidence, I presume. Aha, it's one and then the other. Ah, evidence. Counsel, you'll present evidence to substantiate your claim or withdraw it. What proof do you have that the accused did not drop 4 books?
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in the form of this bookshop receipt. From your books?
Yes, this receipt details Miss Anatome's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed. No! Therefore, Miss Anatome would have only dropped 3 books at the scene of the crime. Which means that your powers of observation, madame, cannot be relied upon. So it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no! No!
Objection!
It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving. So you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? He sees right through me. But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony in every respect.
Oh,
You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene on Real Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right, only 3 can be seen in that print. That print? You mean to say? Then I get this in Discovery? Does Discovery not exist? Allow me to present another, one that shows the victim's hand. I don't believe it. I'm very interested, and oh, it's even got the corner. It's the 4th book. As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. No. No! Order! Order!
there. You see? You see? Look at that. Look.
Yes.
It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling?
Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir. Let's study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beate, the titles once again, if you please.
Oh, yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other.
The picture of Monsieur Lecoq.
What's it, yearnings?
Canterbury yearnings.
A meal for someone?
A meal for Gableau, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. Beate's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional.
Did you hear that, Roly? The gentleman paid me a compliment.
Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there were only 3 books on the receipt, and Mrs. Beate mentioned 4. There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly, the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm sorry, counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book.
I wonder, what became of that 4th book?
Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, counsel. My pleasure, my lord. The second crime scene photograph, which should have been given me at the start, has been entered into the court record. It specifically shows the victim's hand. The 4th book has been entered into the court record, a book entitled The Lion's Pride, discovered in the victim's hand at the scene. The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious longer route to the accused's lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination. Futile. I walked right into this, didn't I?
You see, everything we said is true. Isn't that right, my darling?
Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat. So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions. Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You have heard all of the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course.
Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position.
I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Ryunosuke, think. What do you do now? Okay. We can, of course, make matters worse. That is a problem. But, and it seems the game's hinting for me to want to wait and see, I think we do have to object on the basis of we need to somehow get to the bit or just somehow bring up the fact that this book found at the scene is a little bit different than the others.
Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burnt.
You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages.
What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently.
A book. Recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? And so we've updated the fourth book's information. The back cover is badly burnt. Why is it burnt? If it's out in the snow, why should we be carrying it as personal belongings around town? If it's a burnt book. A burnt book like that is pretty much a useless book. There's no repairing that. There's no nothing. It is just kind of trash now. Unless you want to do something else with it. I don't know what you would do. Bludgeon someone with it? Could be a new murder weapon. Our person was on the way to murder someone at the time. We could work that. Probably not. But it's very obvious that I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to object here. But we will object next time on the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, where you'll all laugh at me as I take another penalty. That'd be funny. But I think we do have to poke hard. We have to bring this round to other people nearby. I'll see you next time for more. Bye-bye.